First of all, Scott, big event, obviously a title fight in the main event. This is a big fight. It feels like a little different than the others, right? You have Kavanaugh coming here and being a little bit more defiant than previous challengers. Can you preview that title fight and talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Cyborg, to me, and I've said it many times before, is the GOAT of female MMA, and she has done it all. She's already proved her legacy, and yet she wants to continue to fight. So this fight is really interesting because Sinead is she's not going to back down from Chris. She's a very aggressive fighter. She's going to be in her face. She's going to be coming at her a lot more than I think the other girls were, and that's going to be the interesting part of this fight is, I think I know how Chris is going to react, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a war, and I think it's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah, it certainly sets up for an interesting matchup. And Chris is 36 years old, but she's not showing any signs of slowing down whatsoever. When you signed her to Bellator, I mean, she had already been competing in mixed martial arts for decades. Did you expect her to be this dominant? Because it seems like no one's come close to beating her.
I mean, listen, she had the fight with Amanda, and that she got clipped, and but these things happen in MMA all the time. There's no way that stays undefeated forever, right? And she had how long of a run? Probably since 2008. I think she started fighting for me in 2009. That was the first main event on Showtime for a female MMA fight, which is the Cyborg and Carano fight. So you're talking, back in 2008, 2009, she was already competing at a really high level, and she's been able to maintain it. And I think that's due to her consistently working out and staying in shape and staying fight ready and fighting consistently. So I think that what you see is what you're getting a product based on her work performance and her work ethic. So to me, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think that she's going to be somebody that's going to be really hard to beat in the future, and that's why we signed her.
Yeah, certainly. And I talked to her yesterday, and she was telling me that she wanted to do a boxing fight before this fight, and that it's actually in her contract. And I know last year headlines were circling, even Eddie Hearn was talking about a potential fight between Katie Taylor and Chris Cyborg. Can you confirm that? Is that in Cyborg's contract, and will we see her in the boxing ring soon?
I don't want to specifically quote the contract, right? Because then I'm talking about the contract where there's confidentiality provisions in these agreements. But I will say we have a very good relationship with Chris. We know that she's wanted to box, and we'll do our best to accommodate when the time is right. I think we ran into last year was COVID hit, and then everything just got shut down for everybody for a while, and everybody's rebooting, and now we're finally hitting our stride. I think since the July 31st fight between AJ McKee and Pitbull, having that fight at the LA Forum, we went to San Jose after that, Phoenix, London, Moscow, Dublin. I think that we're on a roll. But back then when we were talking about her fighting and boxing and had some time to do it, it was just problematic because of COVID. So we can readdress it. Listen, I'm not, if she wants to do, Muay Thai, we'd be open to having that conversation. Boxing is fine too. So, we have a little bit different policy than other companies, and willing to work with the fighters on some of their other goals and aspirations as a fighter, as a martial artist. So to me, I'm fine with it. But, let's see how this fight goes first, and then we'll go from there.
Of course. And in the co-main event, we have a nice heavyweight bout between Linton Vassell and Tyrell Fortune. Both men seem to agree that this is a title eliminator bout. Would you say that's the case here? Like the winner will be next in line?
Well, you know what? I can't commit to that. Let's see how they look. Right? I always like watching the fights, and then you know what? The media has a lot to do with it now too, because we have the rankings, and the media contributes to the rankings, and we take a look at them, and then we'll decide from there.
Right. But would you say like an impressive finish from either guy could put them right there?
Yeah, I think that listen, it's definitely going to advance their position, and if one has a dominant performance or the other, I think it definitely throws them in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah. And in the heavyweight division, we have an interim champion and an undisputed champion. Obviously, Ryan Bader was competing at 205, and now he's gonna. I assume he's gonna be moving back to heavyweight.
Yeah, he will be defending his heavyweight, and it'll happen probably sometime first quarter next year.
Okay, against Moldavsky, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And sticking with the heavyweight topic, we saw Fedor pick up a crazy win over Tim Johnson. A lot of people maybe didn't see it coming, but Fedor You know, even in his 40s, he's still kicking ass. What's the future like for him? We know that there's one more fight for him. Is it a title shot potentially, or is it another showcase fun fight? What's going on with Fedor?
I mean, we don't have any plans for a title shot right now, especially because his student is the one fighting Ryan Bader, right? So I think that we're planning something really, large-scale event in Russia for him as his farewell, sending off as far as, having this illustrious career, being the greatest heavyweight of all time. And I don't care what other people say, other reporters or even other fighters that have fought for me, taking shots at him. I just feel like, look, man, you know what? Let's be real. He's the greatest fighter in the history of MMA. To me, look at the longevity. He just knocked out a guy that, was on a pretty good win streak and taking people out, taking Czech Congo out. And he's to me, he fought guys that are still relevant today and still dangerous fighters. And Fedor said to me, I'll never forget, he said, if Moldavsky loses to Tim, I want to fight Tim. And I said, well, let's just see how it goes. And then he beat him, but he still wanted to fight Tim. And that's a dangerous fight. Let's be honest, that's a dangerous fight. And I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I predict, this is my prediction, whoever gets to the chin first is going to win this fight. And Fedor, let me tell you something, it's, when I was hanging around with Fedor the week of the fight, it was unlike any other Fedor I've ever hung out with, because he's usually over here. I'm seeing him in Japan. I'm seeing him somewhere, in a different environment. But he was in his home, and he was getting harassed for tickets and people pulling at him in interviews, and he's a star, big star, and so he was very focused, and he didn't want anything to do with any of this stuff, and he was very much laser focused. And some people might have said he was short with people. But I just said, this guy is in the zone right now. Because think about how many people were going to come see him. A lot of politicians there. A lot of people were there. There are high government officials, are high, people that basically run the city, and they're all there to see him. And man, it was amazing. It was really amazing to see at 45 him still, throw a 3-punch combination like that, like he was 25 years old. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the place went erupted. It was just like this rocky ending, to the storybook, right? So,
yeah, certainly.
And we're gonna have one more. It's gonna be massive. It'll probably be next summer.
In the States, you think?
No, it'll be in Moscow.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. He wants to fight in Russia for his last fight. So we're gonna do it there, and we have some great plans. Again, this is gonna be a massive send-off. This is not gonna just be a normal fight, and we're gonna do. It's gonna be something really special, and we're already starting to plan it right now.
Nice. Whatever happened to the sweater, the Fedor sweater?
You know what? I think it's. I think Bellator has it. I think it's in our. It'll be up in the Bellator Museum one day.
Okay, nice.
So we have it in our archives.
Yeah, that just came to mind.
Yeah.
And then now going back to Bellator 271, Aaron Pico returns.
Yes.
He's on a 4-fight winning streak. He's looking very good. It seemed that everything's clicking for him, and he had a really rough start to his career. A lot of people are wondering if he was really meant to the sport, if he was really gonna, deliver on how much promise he had. But clearly, he's turned things around. How happy are you with the fact that he's been able to sort of put everything together? And also, what do you make against this fight? What do you make about this fight against Justin Gonzalez, who's undefeated?
Yeah, Justin Gonzalez is a great fighter. He's no joke. Aaron's gonna have his hands full. But Aaron is a guy that when I came to Bellator, we said, look, we have to build the new crop, the new group of young athletes, right? So we signed Aaron. Pico was our first signing, and we worked something out with the management and him and the father, and we tried to sign him, and he was 17 years old, so he couldn't even sign the contract at the time. Think about that. We had to wait till he turned 18 for him to sign an official agreement with us. So we knew his wrestling is unbelievable. His striking is unbelievable. And so it was just a matter of him learning, and he had some rough fights in the very beginning, at the very beginning of his career. And think about who he fought. He fought the guy that just beat Benson Henderson, right? Yeah. It's like, you're talking about top level. And so you have to take a step back, and we all agreed, time for you to take a step back. And since he's taken a step back, I think he's just growing and growing and growing, and the sky's the limit, So we're going to keep giving him guys that are going to be a tough challenge for him, and let him get to that point. And, at some point he's going to want a title shot, and that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting. Because you got, the two friends there, that said they won't fight each other. But I know when it comes time, I think that, they might be more open to it than maybe they were a year ago, because, they're both in the same division. right? And it's they're friends and this, but I think Aaron is we'll be looking forward to a title shot sometime in the future. But for now, he's got his hands full, and let's see how he does. And we're going to be watching very closely.
And speaking of the champion, what's the update on AJ McKee? Right, last we heard, he had one fight left on his deal. He had just won the belt. Has he re-signed with Bellator?
No, he's we're talking to him right now, but he has more than one fight left.
Okay.
So we're talking to him. I think this week he's coming down with his dad, and we're going to sit down and talk to him. And listen, we have a lot of respect for him. We think he's, obviously he's the best featherweight in the world right now, as far as I'm concerned. And so, we're going to have a conversation, but we do have multiple fights left with him, and we'll get him in the cage, soon.
Yeah. What do you think is next for him?
The opponent, I mean, I've heard a lot of different names from my guys throwing it out there. One was a Pitbull rematch. Adam Borix was another fighter that they talked about. But we'll see. Let's figure out a date first, and then we'll get the opponent set from there.
And recently, you guys had an awesome show. By the way, congrats on the Dublin show. That was certainly something else. And we saw a new champion, Patricky Pitbull, pick up the 155-pound belt. What did you make of his performance, and what do you think is next for him?
I think he had a pretty dominant performance. I think Willie's a tough kid, but I think Patricky that night had a much better game plan, maybe much better feel in the cage, and he did. He was doing his thing right away from the very beginning, and I think he was really confident. It's as far as who's next for him, that's something that we'll probably circle back, but we want to get him in the cage sometime in the first quarter as well. But if you look at our lightweight division, I think one of the fighters I'd really like to see stay at lightweight is Yamaguchi. I think he's been dangerous. Fighter, and then I think we have 4 or 5 guys that could easily step up and fight, for the title. But let's just wait and see what happens with some of these other lightweight fights running on.
Right. Yeah. That's because Brent Primus recently picked up a big win. You had also Conor McGregor trying to play a little bit of Bellator matchmaking, saying that there had to be a trilogy with Peter Queally.
Oh, is that what he said? I didn't hear that. You know what? I mean, listen. Technically, you could say they're 1-1, right? And so, we could have that conversation, but, I think that, there's other options, and, we'll decide here real soon.
Yeah. And I got to ask you about somebody that's not in your roster, but is being talked about a lot. I'm sure you know what question is coming up. Kayla Harrison.
Oh.
Chris Cyborg's been bombarded with questions all fight week. Obviously, she's a free agent now. She fought out her contract at PFL.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Is there any interest in signing her?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we would like to have a bigger conversation and see if we can come to some type of arrangement. I mean, listen, it's not just Kayla, but it's really any free agent that's out there that's at that world-class level, that we feel could add value to the company. We want to go sign them.
So you said a bigger conversation. So have you guys had smaller conversations with her team?
I think she just became a free agent recently. So I think that I think she's coming to the fight tomorrow with Dan Lambert.
Yep.
And Horiguchi's going to be here, so that'll be fun. So I think they're all going to sit together, and then we'll say hello and start having a dialogue.
Nice. And I got to get an update on somebody else, Dillon Danis. What's going on with him? Because he hasn't fought in a while. Obviously, still, a name that's very popular among the fans. Is he ever going to fight again? Because it kind of seems like, I don't know.
I sure hope so. I mean, that's really up to him. I talk to him from time to time on just texting back and forth, ask him how he's doing. The conversations are good. They're pleasant. But I'm just waiting for him to say, hey, I'm ready. Give me a date, give me a fighter, and let's go. And really, it's going to be up to him. When he's ready, we have fights twice a month. We'll definitely get him in the rotation. So we're going to wait for his green light, and then we'll go get him a fight.
Yeah. And Anthony Johnson, can we get an update on him? He had a little bit of a health scare. We were all kind of concerned because, we didn't have much details. I believe he said it was something about a bacteria in his stomach. How is he doing? And is there even a timetable for his return?
Yeah, you know what? That's something that's very sensitive because, he made it very clear. This is something that's very private to me.
Yeah.
I want, just everybody pump the brakes and let me get through this. So as a company, we're waiting to see how he's doing. We check in from time to time, see how he's doing, and he said he's doing better. But that's going to be another call that's on him, because when he's ready, he'll give us a call, and then we'll get him back into the cage. But what a great fighter. He's had a great career. Look forward to getting him back. I'm glad that he's going through this process of getting healed up, and hopefully we'll have him back soon.
Yeah. Now circling back to tomorrow's event, any fight that you'd like to highlight outside of the main event that that you're excited about?
I mean, I'm really excited about the Pico fight, because I think that when you have an undefeated kid, they have a certain mindset because they're so used to winning, right? And I want to see how good Pico looks. That's going to be something I'm going to be very interested in.
All right, Scott. Well, I appreciate the time, and best of luck tomorrow at the event.
Yeah, tune in on Showtime, 10 p.m. Eastern.